In this first look video from InfluenceWP, we are checking out a WordPress plugin called FormStatus, which, as it shows on my screen, is going to allow you to effortlessly test your website forms, whether manually or automated. Before we poke around the website a little bit for FormStatus and then take a look at the solution together for the first time, just a quick bit of housekeeping. First look videos cover products we have no prior experience with. They show vendors how new users experience their website and product for the very first time. These videos are unedited, high-level introductions that are not paid for, they're not sponsored, and they contain no affiliate links. If you would like videos like this created for your business, go to influencewp.com/partners and request your free partner membership. And we thank FormStatus for being a partner. If you like what you see in this video, go over to our website and grab the exclusive offer for FormStatus. Okay, so let's poke around the website here a bit, and that website is formstatus.co. Okay, pretty simple domain. What we're going to do is look at some key pages. We're going to look at features. We're going to look at change logs. We're going to look at roadmap, documentation, pages of that nature, okay? Information of that nature. And then we're going to get this going on a test site and just check out this solution together for the first time, for me anyway. All right, so first thing we want to do is we want to rattle off all the features just to make sure we're not missing anything. And I see a link up here in the navigation for features, so let's just dive in there. And I'm just going to rattle all of these off pretty quickly. Robust web form testing and monitoring for agencies, end-to-end testing. No-code setup, daily automatic testing, post-update testing. So that's going to be anytime you update like your theme, your plugins, that sort of thing. It's going to do post-update testing. On-demand tests that you can run yourself manually. Email delivery checks, real browser testing. So they're not just using HTTP requests, they're using full simulation in a web browser. Agency-friendly management. You're going to get a status overview, usage-based tier billing. So it's going to be based on the number of forms that you're testing with. So when I think of like usage-based, I think of like, well, maybe how many times did you test? It's actually based on the number of forms. Monitor unlimited forms, granular control over active forms. Under compatibility, we have built to work with any form or CMS, deep integration with WordPress, bypass, reCAPTCHA, and honeypots, handles Ajax and JavaScript forms. And lastly, troubleshooting diagnosis, video test recording. So it's going to record the entire submission process, which is super cool. You're going to get history logs, detailed error recording, recheck after failure, and instant notifications. All right, next up, let's see if we can find an about page. I'm not seeing an about page. I would love to see an about page with a little bit about the company, the team, or the person, behind FormStatus, faces, names, to establish that trust with potential customers that are poking around the website and potentially is interested in the product. Next up, I'm looking for a change log, which I'm not seeing a link for that either. Maybe we will find that in the docs. But just in case we don't find it, I would like to see a change log with the dates that the new versions were released, as well as what was released, fixes, updates, that sort of thing. Super, super important. Again, it's about establishing that trust with potential customers so they can see that you have active development going on. When you last released a feature, are you fixing bugs, that sort of thing. Okay, I'm not seeing a roadmap either. That's not the end of the world. Again, trust. Let's keep saying that over and over again. Trust with potential customers and current customers. Let's see here. Yeah, I think the last thing we can look at is the docs. So let's check out the docs. We seem to have some searchable docs. I'm just going to do a test here. I know that Fluent Forms, for example, is one of the forms that this works with. So I'm just going to do a search for the word Fluent. There we go. So the search works. Let's go over here and just check out some of these guides. So the documentation looks to be good. We've got some screenshots with some annotations in some of them, just perfectly fine. Okay. The documentation looks to be good. Cool, cool. All right. So we will leave the search up, or sorry, the documentation up just in case we need it. But I think that we're good to go. We're going to check this out. So before hitting record, I poked around the documentation a little bit just to see what was what. I did see that Fluent Forms, which I already have installed on this particular test site, is compatible. So we're just going to test that out. Now, there's one thing I want to point out, and that was under, I think it was under form compatibility here. So you see that is a category option. If you go in here, there was a chart. Here we go. What plugins does FormStatus support? Was it in this one? Yes. Fully supported plugins. So you've got a list here. All right. So what I had installed on this site, like I said, was I have Fluent Forms installed, and it says support is in progress. Now, when you actually go in to Fluent Forms, so this is more for the team over at FormStatus. This is more of a bit of feedback. You have these up here are listed as fully supported, but if you go into like Ninja Forms, for example, it looks like everything in here is supported, right? Some things are not applicable. This thing in red, that's fine. But if you go over to Fluent Forms, it looks just as ready to go, right? So I'm just wondering if maybe the documentation has not been updated yet, because from my point of view, it looks like Fluent Forms is fully supported with FormStatus. So I'm going to roll with that, and we're going to see what's what. All right, so we need to log into the app. So I need to get back to, if you go back to, just open up a new tab here, FormStatus. Here we go. All right, so we're back on FormStatus. And then you go down into the footer area, and then there's log into the app. Okay. Okay, so I am now logged into the app, and I've never been in here before. So this, it's a first look video. We are learning this all together for the first time. So we start in the dashboard tab here. This has got our usage. So 0 out of 6 forms are allowed on my particular account. So we're showing 0 out of 6 forms tested. We have no test runs performed. You get a nice dashboard of showing you what's been happening, how many alerts have been sent, form check status distribution, a breakdown of users' forms based on status, checks over time, and then some recent checks. The other thing too, so I've pulled over the documentation onto my other screen. I'm gonna close this down. I'm gonna do a search in that documentation while I'm thinking about it for the word changelog. I want to see if I just missed it. Okay. Doesn't look like it. Okay. Okay. So what do we need to do here? Let's go to the forms tab. Okay. We don't have any forms, so this makes sense that this is all blank. And then if we're working on a team, we can add team members. So that is cool. Again, this is you can use this if you're a non-agency. Obviously, you could be a solopreneur. Just a one-person shop that's one-person agency. Those out there are a thing. But if you have multiple team members, then that is something that FormStatus accommodates. So you can build your team over here. All right, so we need to get a form monitored. All right, so let's go. I see new form up here, so we're going to just click on that. Add a form. Put the form URL, and from my reading before hitting record, it's just the URL of a page where your form lives that you want to test. So over here on my test site, I've got a page that I created called form. So we're just going to copy that URL, punch that right here into form status, and click next. We have detected one or more forms. This is really cool. So it's actually, it looks like it's the form. That's really, really cool. So detected the form. If multiple forms have been detected, please select the form you would like to use from the options provided. So we just have the one form. Let's have some fun with this. Let's go back to this page. So I want to see what happens. Let's add the same form twice. You know what? Let's do this. Let's go Fluent Forms. Let's go Forms. Let's duplicate this form. I'm going to call this Contact Form 2. And I'm going to change this button color to something. Oh, I think we have to have the pro version. We'll just, here we go. We can change the color. We'll change the button to red and save. Go back to our form page. So if you're using the block editor with Fluent Forms, you don't necessarily need to use the shortcode. You can just do the slash that leans to the right to call up the blocks, pull up the Fluent Forms block, and then we're going to do, let's go ahead and save this. And make sure my form is ready to go. Save form, form's good. I'm going to refresh this page. Okay, there we go. Select form 2. So we see at the top, our first form has a blue button. Our second one has a red button. Now over on form status, let's see how it detects that second form. There we go. That's really cool. So you get a visual of your forms. Let's just roll with this first one, the blue one. Click next. All right, form settings. Can we change this? Yep, you can change that. This is the URL. That's good. By default, we are enabling form testing. We can also toggle on email testing. Enable this option to test email delivery when your form sends an email. Now, in this test site, I don't have any SMTP going. I'm just relying on WordPress and the host, to send the emails, which isn't the most reliable, but it works in a lot of cases. So when I toggle that on, it said this option requires the FormStatus WordPress plugin installed on your websites. Okay, so if you're just going enable form testing and you're just going enable SSL check, which are the default options checked, it looks like you can avoid using a plugin on your site or your client site. We're going to go ahead and just download this plugin. Okay, so that is in there. Let's go back over here. Let's click OK on this notification. Okay, so now we have all three of the options checked. Notification email for form submission failure alert. So this is where it's going to try to send the email, and that's what it's going to monitor. We have these field overrides. I'm not quite sure what this is. I think maybe these are just kind of placeholders. Hidden field overrides. Okay, we will leave that alone. Let me do a search. I'm going to do a search here on my other screen for field for overrides. Not seeing anything here. Here we go. Let's see. Data collection and minimization. Only what's needed. Form status collects only the data required to execute, validate, and debug form submissions. This includes form field names and input values, either your provided overrides or generated defaults. Okay, got it. All right, so you can use these form overrides if you need to. We're just going to roll with the defaults, and we're going to click on submit down here. All right, so we've got this form is added. We can expand it. So I'm just clicking this little plus symbol right here. Shows the team, when it was created, when it was last updated, all that good stuff. Easily toggle on the test on or off. So maybe we want to toggle it off to turn off the automation. And then maybe we can run it manually once that's even with that toggled off. We're going to keep that toggled on. Status is disabled. We have not checked it, so that makes sense that that is blank. Actions, view form log, which would be empty. All right, so that is form log. And then we have actions edit, just clicking on that pencil there. All right, so this is the screen that we've already seen. Here's an option right here, save and test. So let's go ahead and try that out, save and test, and then save changes. There we go. So now once we did that, we are now in a status of pending. I'm going to go back over here to this view form log. There we go. So now we get more of a status of what's going on. Expanding these, we can see what is what. So it looks like it ran an initial test right when we set this up. No, because that's the two forms. So that's not, we'll skip that because I think this first one here is what we want to look at. So the status is pending, SSL check pending, form submit pending, email check. So that passed already. Form check frequency, manual, error status, no, none found. Okay, so the email was fine. SSL, valid, no. Let me go ahead and refresh this screen. There we go. Okay, so everything passed. And because we have two forms on this page, it's kind of a little bit wonky. Let me go ahead and just get rid of these, or one of these. There we go. There we go. One form. Now we're back over here. What I'm curious about is can we kind of start over? Can we delete some tests? Can I delete a form? Delete. Here we go. So I want to start this. I'm going to start the whole process over. Make sure I only have that one form on the page, which you can have multiple, right? But I just want to start clean. We'll start the whole process again. All right. So let's go back over here to form status. I'm going to click new form. I'm going to paste in that URL. Okay. There's our form. We select it. We hit next. We want that email testing, so we're going to toggle that on. The plugin is already installed, so we're going to say OK. We're not going to worry about field overrides at this point. I'm going to click submit. There we go. So then now it immediately jumps into the pending status. I jumped back over here to the dashboard, and we see that we have one forms monitored. It's done one test run. It's pending, so that's why it says 100% pending. Pending. Good. So we're just going to wait. Now, is there a way to get notified? Maybe it only notifies on fails. I'm doing a search over here while we wait for the word notification. Should we receive an email notification for successful form checks? During form testing, we disable outgoing emails to the recipient addresses configured for your forms. This prevents your inbox from being flooded with test submissions while you or your team are checking functionality. Instead, the email is routed to our incoming mail server so the platform can confirm email functionality is intact. This override does not impact our normal form submissions from visitors. In addition, if your web form plugin supports it, we also prevent test entries from being logged in the form database. Okay, that's cool. But do you get notified on failure? What I was kind of looking at. So like, what if we're testing this form, right? It's automated. We're going on and we're on a fishing trip. We're doing our thing, and we get do we get an alert that our form failed? Like, how does that work? All right, let's go ahead and just refresh this and see what we get. All right, so now we have 100% passed. Got our data here. That's cool. Let's go to our forms. Good stuff. It's passed. We click on the log. We've got the full log here. And then here we've got that video. So we can play the video and see how they tested it. Okay, we see here that we've got the thank you message. Okay. I thought on that form there was a redirect. Nope. Nope. I didn't set that. Okay. That's cool. All good. So I just had it doing a confirmation, a thank you message. I forgot to put the redirect on there. That's all good because FormStatus actually tests the redirect too. So that's why I kind of wanted to test that, but all good. So this is really, really neat. The only thing I can't figure out yet is what if it fails? So SSL was valid, email was successful, all of that. We see the email was the sender and all that good stuff. The status, we even have like a spam score. That's cool. Again, SMTP is not set up on this. I don't have proper email routing or anything going on here. I'm going to go back to their homepage. Let's go back to their homepage here. We're going to go under features. Oh, see, you saw the instant alerts. Let's see. Receive immediate notification as soon as we detect a problem, minimizing downtime and preventing loss of leads. Okay. Maybe that's over here under our user account. Okay, so I think where it is, it's probably in the form. We've had to miss it here. So let's go back to our form. Let's edit the form. Because I remember, yeah. So I think it's this notification email for form submission failure alerts. So I think that's it. So you can put in separate emails, separate them with a comma, so multiple team members can get alerted. I think that's it. I think that's what I've been overlooking there for the alerts. Okay, let me make sure. Let's go through the features one more time. Let's make sure we've covered most, if not all. Daily automated testing, no code. Yeah, obviously you can do on-demand tests. Well, actually, we didn't look at that. Run a manual test from any form at any time. So the test is enabled automatically to run automated each day under actions, maybe. Let's go. How do we run this on demand? We've got the log, we've got the edit screen. Maybe here, if you're just saving your changes, then the next time that the automated test runs, it just runs. But if we click save and test, it runs again. Maybe we'll try that out. Save and test, and then save changes. Let's go back to our form. Yeah, that's what that is. So now it's pending. Okay, so that's how, at least from my interpretation, that's how you go about running a manual test. Okay, this is all good. We've seen all of this. The usage-based tiering, we've talked about that. It's based on form usage, like the actual number of forms that you have. You can monitor unlimited forms. There was another thing. Oh, yeah. So that plugin that we installed, I think they call it a helper plugin. So I've seen that before when other solutions within WordPress, they'll have something called like a helper plugin. And I think that's what this is right here, because the documentation for FormStatus mentions a helper plugin. And I think that's what this is. And what that relates to is right here. So if you start getting into other, we saw that it's needed for the email testing portion, but it's also needed for things like bypassing spam, like spam honeypots and spam protection and things of that nature. I'm gonna do a search on their help docs real quick. Yeah, they've got all kinds of documentation on the FormStatus website about understanding captchas and things of that nature that you need to think about. So if you need help bypassing captcha on your forms and stuff like that, that's where this helper plugin comes into play. Our companion plugin says right here, They call it a companion plugin here. Our companion plugin will intelligently disable bot and spam protection mechanisms only for the form status request. So only when form status is needing to do its thing is it, bypassing those security measures, spam measures. It's not interfering with your forms as far as what they should be doing with blocking spam and whatnot. All right. Video test recording. We saw that. We saw history logs, error recording. Yep. Recheck after failure. If a failure is detected, we run tests a second time to make sure. Okay. And then instant notifications. Yep. I think we covered it all. This is something like, as an agency owner, I have long thought about. And just even if you're a one site owner, like, how do you know your forms are working? If you go to update WordPress, at the time of this recording, the new version of WordPress is about to come out. Very slim chance that that's going to break your forms, but it could. Updating the form status helper companion plugin, does that break things? Updating Fluent Forms, does that break things? There's just constant changes that happen in WordPress and that you got to monitor for. So I thought about this for a long time with my agencies and clients: is how do we test forms and be proactive about that sort of thing. So super cool plugin. Very excited about it. If you are as well, go over to influencewp.com/deals and get that. There's a very generous exclusive deal for InfluenceWP members. So go over there and grab it. This is something you're interested in, and I will see you in the next video.